Assalamualaikum, a very good day to all my students. Welcome to my class KMJ45802 Professional Engineers. I'm Madam Aiminoliana Hashim. So I would like to wish you all Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Today we will learn lecture 9, Sustainability in Engineering.
What is sustainable development? Regarding from conserving natural resources and protecting environmental quality, sustainable development is the development that meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. So as a future professional engineer, you all have a significant role to play in sustainability. You have to work to enhance the welfare, health and healthy of all with the minimal use of the natural resources and paying due regard to the environment and the sustainability of resources. Sustainable development is an initiative plan advised by United Nations for the remarkable future nation. In common words, sustainable development is defined as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. The primary principle for sustainable development is that human beings are at the center of the concern. However, what is the connection between human needs and sustainable development? Generally, there are four dimensions to sustainable development derived from Brundtland Report Society, which is certifying basic human needs, environment, long-term ecological sustainability, culture and economy, which are linked collectively. Besides, sustainable development is robustly linked to the quality of life of the society. This is about whether the social, environmental system and economic activities that build up the community and providing a healthy and significant life for all the current living society and future. Today's society is much more concerned with the impact we have on our environment. That's why so many organizations are looking to improve their eco-friendly operation through green initiative and more sustainable practice. It's the challenge of meeting human needs to natural resources, industrial product, energy, food, transportation, shelter, and effective waste management, while conserving and protecting environmental quality and the natural resource base essential for future development. At high level of sustainability is the goal to shoot for as is the practice of reducing waste, resource consumption and environmental impact. The problem with improving sustainability, however, is that it has to be done at a foundation level. That's where civil engineering or construction professional or professional engineer like you all wanna be come into this equation. By increasing sustainability knowledge and awareness for these professionals, we are putting the future of the industry in better hands. Sustainability can be viewed as having three parts: environmental, economic, and social, including political, as shown in this figure. As a consequence, achieving sustainability requires an integrated approach and multi-dimensional indicators that link a community's economy, environment, and society. is environmental management. When we talk about environmental management, the main point is waste management. Waste management refers to the practice of collecting, transporting, processing, or disposing of, managing, and monitoring various waste materials. It is important to observe sustainability in this aspect so that every bit of waste can be managed in an efficient manner rather than just dumping it in all in landfill. The goal of sustainable waste management is to reduce the amount of natural resources consumed, reusing the material taken from nature as much as it is possible, and creating as minimal waste as possible. It is our responsibility to maintain sustainability for the benefit of environment as well as future generations. As well functioning sustainable waste management system should incorporate feedback loop, focus on processes, embody adaptability and divert waste from the disposal.
Okay, our environment is constantly changing. There is no denying that fact. However, as our environment changes, so does the need to become increasingly aware of the problem that surround it. With a massive influx of natural disaster, warming and cooling period, different type of weather pattern and much more. So we need to be aware of what type of environmental problem our planet is facing. We run more and more earth natural resources for economic costs. For example, shrinking forests, expanding desert, eroding soil, lower atmosphere is warming, melting glacier, etc., etc., etc. So, what does natural resources means in economics? Natural resources are natural asset, which is raw materials occurring in nature that can be used for economic production or consumption. Which are for example, I give one example. Coal and iron are required for the growth and development of the iron and steel industry, which is vital for the development of any country. Further, there are many other minerals which are of economic importance, also mineral fuel like petroleum, plutonium, and uranium as what we call nuclear source are nationally important. So what will happen when we run out of natural resources? So the big consequence such as erosion, global warming caused by the rise of the greenhouse gases, extinction of species and loss of biodiversity. The effect of deforestation are very significant, not just for the country that lost trees, but for the global community as a whole. They include loss of habitat or for animals and people, soil erosion, drier air and warmer planet. When the tree is gone, the CO2 carbon dioxide it would have used for photosynthesis either remain in the atmosphere or get absorbed by the ocean, which are becoming increasingly acidified and less able to absorb more. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It helps create like a ceiling in the atmosphere that prevent ground heat from the dissipating into space. In other words, deforestation leads directly to global warming, which is one of the most serious ecological issue facing modern humanity. Another environmental problem is meltwater from the ice sheet and glaciers flow into the ocean, causing sea level to rise. This can lead to flooding, habitat destruction and other problems. Ice reflect the sun's energy better than land or water. So with less ice, Earth absorb more energy and heats up faster. The basic causes of the environmental problem that we face, such as population growth, waste food and unsustainable resource, poverty, and failure to include the harmful environmental cost of goods and services in their market price. Okay, the next environmental problem is population growth. Population growth is the increase in the number of people living in a particular area. Since population can grow exponentially, resource depletion can occur rapidly, leading to specific environmental concerns such as global warming, deforestation, as I said before, and decreasing biodiversity. Population in developed country trend toward using substantially more resources, while population in developing country feel the impact of environmental problem more quickly. Unsustainable resources or unsustainable development occur when present progress is at the expense of future generations. For example, irresponsible planning and environmental degradation through exploitation of resources generates waste and pollution that damage ecosystem. Such practices are not sustainable in the long term. The next environmental problem is poverty. So it is very important to everyone to recognize that poverty and environmental issues are interrelated. Poverty among people, among us, put stress on the environment, whereas environmental problem cause severe suffering to the poor people. Whether they be rich or poor, consume water, food and natural resources in order to remain alive. So all economic activities are directly or indirectly or remotely based on natural resources, and any pressure on natural resources can cause environmental stress. So environmental damage can prevent people, especially the poor, from having good and hygienic living standard. As poor people rely more directly on the environment than the rich for their survival, they are mostly on the receiving end of the environmental problem. So on the other hand, environmental problem add more to miseries of poor people. Environmental problem cause more suffering among them, as environmental damage increase the impact of flood or other environmental what we call catastrophes. So erosion, land degradation or deforestation lead to decline in food production along with a shortage of wood for fuel contribute to inflation. In short, the worst consequence of environmental deterioration, whether they be economical, social, or related to mental or physical well-being, are experienced by poor people. So, in my viewpoint, I strongly believe that there cannot be any environmental solution without alleviating poverty from the world. That's only my viewpoint. Cost is an inevitable but often overlooked and uncounted consequence of environmental contamination. So any degradation of the environment, whether is it contamination of air or water, pollution of landfill by toxic waste or exposure of children to hazardous chemical carries costs. Among these costs are direct medical expense for person made ill by toxic exposure, or indirect health related costs such as time lost from school or work, cost of rehabilitation, and cost of special education. And the third one is diminished economic productivity in person whose brains, lung, or other organ system are permanently damaged by toxic exposure. Then loss of irreplaceable environmental treasures such as the Everglades or the Black Forest, and the cost of the environmental clean up also have to detailing. The last of environmental problem happen is because of lack of awareness and insufficient knowledge. Environmental awareness means being aware of the natural environment and making choice that benefit the earth rather than hurt it. Some of the way to practice environmental awareness include using safe and non-toxic building supply, conserving energy and water, recycle activism, and others activity. Okay, next we're going to next topic, sustainability development. Sustainable development always encourages us to conserve and enhance our resources by gradually changing the manner in which we develop and use technologies. All countries should meet their basic needs of employment, food, energy, water, and sanitation. Throughout the evolution of the concept of sustainable development, there was a consensus on the fact there is does not focus solely on environmental issues. The three interdependent and mutually reinforcing pillar are economic development, social development, and environmental protection. The familiar environmental problem in Malaysia. So Malaysia faces several environmental issues. Malaysia environmental pose mega diverse biological diversity with globally significant endemism and biodiversity, but it threatened by several issues. Deforestation is a major issue in our country that's led many species to become threatened with extinction. As a major economic sector, palm oil production also has had a substantial environmental impact. Air pollution is also a major issue, with the country one of the most affected country by seasonal Southeast Asian haze. The country is also affected by climate change. So we must accord serious attention to issues concerning natural resources, climate change and sustainability in the wake of frequent such as landslide and flood problem in our country due to the inclement weather and illegal land clearing activities. So as we depend heavily on oil industry, so the challenge for this for our country is to sharply reduce the waste of oil and other resources, and to find array of substitute for oil and other fossil fuels. Waste generated from crude oil and natural gas exploration and production are generally subject to regulation under subtitle D of the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, RCRA, and state regulation, and many state government have specific regulation and guidance for exploration and production waste. Conventional oil, also known as mineral oil, works as an automotive lubricant produced from fossil fuel, right? So such resources work well for combustion type engines, but they have a limited availability and frequently can be reused. Since the beginning the 20th century, conventional oil has been readily available. However, for this time being, society focused in on the scarcity of these resources in the future, which will be forced a reliance and on combustion vehicles to be re-evaluated. Even the conventional oil is low cost, low land use technology is well developed, but there is also disadvantages, such as we need to find substitute within about 50 years, large government subsidies, and can cause, the main point is, can cause the pollution. Actually, oil cannot be broken down to a level that just rot away and disappear, such as organic waste. Even when it is used up, it still represent or generate a toxic liquid or slush. In some cases, oil, of course, can be recycled with filtering to be used again. But then, in many situations, such processes are expensive and very complicated and become difficult. It's dispose. If we dispose in the wrong way, oil can poison the ground and water underground. Eventually, heavy polluted areas must be professionally cleaned at high costing high expenses. There are two major categories of energy, renewable and non-renewable. Yang ni you all dah tahu dah pasal energy resources ni. So non-renewable energy resources are available in limited supplies usually because they take a long time to replenish. The advantage of this energy for these non-renewable resources is that power plant that use them are able to produce more power on demand. So the non-renewable energy resources such as coal, nuclear, oil, natural gas. And then for renewable resources, on the other hand, replenish themselves, which is solar, wine, water also what we call type of renewable energy resources. So we call hydro. And then what more for renewable energy? Biomass or organic material from plants and animals. While renewable energy resources have the advantages of unlimited supply over the long haul, they are limited in their availability and at any given moment. For example, the sun rises each day, but its ability to generate power is limited when it's cloudy, right? So another disadvantages is that power plant operates can crank up renewable energy production when people are consuming more power, such as on hot day when many people are running air conditioners at the same time. What can we do as user in this planet? What we can do as a human being, and what we can do as becoming engineers to save money and energy in industry. For example, by introducing CO generation system or combined heat and power system, especially for manufacturing that involve heating process where the heat generated is fed back to regenerate electric for independent use. When you reuse or recycle anything, you will not need to go buy another of the same, right? So you will be saving some money that would otherwise be used to buy an item that can be recycled or be reused. It also means that the agencies that take care of our trash will not be forced to consistently manage our trash as there will be less of it. Increasing recycling can cut our disposal costs and improve our bottom line. In line with the concept of money, sustainable waste management can help generate money for some establishment. For instance, what we call the administration or the person who admin that collect the garbage can charge collectively and recycling fee, making money in the process. This will also discourage institutions that generate a lot of waste, making them sustainable and more responsible for the environment. We can save money and energy in transportation, such as we can use high efficient engine that perform well with minimal petrol use, or we can use hybrid car, use electric car, and then for the next generation, we can also what we call generate hydrogen fuel cell, as 95% of transportation energy currently come from the petroleum. Significant restructuring of the transportation sector would be required to reach sustainable operation in the future society. This is one of the areas where breakthrough in technology are in highest need, and success in research implementation of those technology in the nearest 10 to 15 years would be dictate what vehicle for the next generation will be driving through. Strong reliance of vehicles on infrastructure of fuel supplies makes the problem of transition of new transportation technologies even more complex. In construction line, we can design buildings that save energy and our money, such as designing energy efficient building, green architecture based on energy efficient approach. We can use natural light, natural ventilation, orientation, material selection. Energy efficient building design involve constructing or upgrading building that are able to get the most work out of the energy that is supplied to them by taking steps to reduce energy loss, such as decreasing the loss of heat through the building envelope. Energy efficient homes, whether they are renovated to be more efficient or built with energy efficiency in mind, pose a significant number of benefit. Energy efficient homes are less expensive to operate, but more comfortable to live in and more environmentally friendly. Okay, the figure show the vicious circle of blame. The circle of blame is a vicious circle which recognize four main stakeholder group: investor, occupiers, developers and constructor, and could be the reason for commercial property not being retrofitted as much as it should be, despite the need to reduce carbon emission from existing building stock. It argues each group claimed to support sustainable building, but individually lacks the power to change the market. None of these groups have taken responsibility and choose to blame one another. It is claimed constructors will not build sustainable building as developers do not commission them, and then developers do not commission them as investors do not require them. Semua salah menyalah lah. Investor believe occupiers do not demand them, and occupiers do not demand them as they are not offered to them. So breaking the circle of blame may be part of the solution to making retrofitting existing property viable in the current market. Okay, so the virtuous loop of feedback and adaptation was developed to break the vicious circle of blame. So as we can see from this figure, show how the vicious circle of blame for sustainable building can be turned into virtuous loop of adaptation. For example, when considering sustainable building and what are the drivers for tenants and investors regarding sustainable buildings, and gaining insight of investor and tenants, what we call corporate responsibility action. Okay, next is what can we do to save energy and money in existing building. The main thing for save energy or money in existing building is to retrofit to save energy. Retrofitting an existing building can often time to be more cost effective than building a new facility, since buildings consume a significant amount of energy, particularly for heating and cooling, and because existing building comprise the largest segment of the built environment, it is important to initiate energy conservation retrofit to reduce energy consumption and the cost of heating, cooling and lighting buildings. But conserving energy is not the only reason for retrofitting existing building. The unique aspect for retrofit of such as historic building must be given special consideration. Designing major renovation and retrofit for existing building to include sustainability initiative will reduce operation costs and environmental impact that can increase building adaptability, durability and resiliency. Some strategies used to reduce the energy needs of home include passive solar design, high efficiency insulation, solar hot water heaters, ground source heat pumps, high quality and energy efficient window, which is we can reducing air leaks throughout the home, and energy efficient light and application looks like for the energy saving. So is it possible to achieve net zero emission? So for Malaysia, I didn't have the answer, but it is technologically feasible for the United States to achieve net zero greenhouse by 2050. Tu yang US claim 2050, which is dia orang akan achieve net zero greenhouse gas emission. So when we do some research, is it the finding is true? Because available technologies in US could allow the US to achieve net zero emission by 2050. This would require rapid and widespread changes in policy investment across many sectors of society and participation and commitment by government, industry and individu. So for Malaysia ni dia susah sikit sebab kita we lack of the environmental awareness. Okay? What else can we do? So this common renewable green energy source is usually produced using sun photovoltaic cell that capture sunlight and turn it into electricity, or we call solar kan. So solar power is also used to heat building and for hot water as well as for cooking and lighting. So solar power has also become affordable enough, ramai dah orang guna, to be used for domestic purpose including garden lighting, although it is also used on a large scale to power entire neighborhoods, right? Okay, as we already know, wind or solar energy provide air quality, public health and greenhouse gas emission benefit, as they can reduce reliance on combustion electricity generation. So this particularly wind energy switch to offshore and higher altitude site. Wind energy also use the power of the flow of air around the world to push turbines and then generate the electricity. Okay, the next energy is hydropower, also known hydroelectric power. This type of green energy use the flow of water in river, stream, dam and elsewhere to produce energy. So this hydropower can even work on a small scale using the flow of water through pipes in the homes, or can come from evaporation, rainfall or the tides in the oceans. Exactly how green the what we call hydropower, the three type hydropower, what we learned before, solar and then wind power. So these three type of green energy is dependent on how they are created. There are plenty of examples of green energy in use today, from energy production through the thermal heating for building of highway and transport. Many industries are investigating green solution, and here for example, heating and cooling in building. So green energy solution are being used for building, ranging from large office blocks to people's home. This include solar water heater, biomass fuel boiler, direct heat from the geothermal, as well as cooling system powered by renewable sources. So there are many things we can do. We can cool building naturally. We can use solar cell to produce electricity. Then we can convert plant and plant waste to liquid biofuel. Okay, this figure summarizes the sustainability approach in engineering. Sustainable engineering is the process of designing or operating systems such that they use energy and sustain resources, or in other words, at a rate that does not compromise the natural environment or the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. This comparison between traditional engineering and sustainable engineering. So for traditional engineering, they only consider the object or process. But compared to sustainable engineering, they consider the whole system in which the object or process will be used. Then for sustainable engineering also consider both technical and non-technical issue synergistically, strive to solve the problem for infinite future, and consider the global context, acknowledge the need to interact the expert in other disciplines related to the problem. So here you boleh tengok lah macam mana comparison between traditional and sustainable engineering. Green engineering is the development and commercialization of industrial processes that are economically feasible and reduce the risk to human health and environment. There are 12 principles of green engineering. The first one is inherent rather than circumstantial, which is designer need to strive to ensure that all materials and energy input and output are inherently non-hazardous as possible. Then second is prevention instead of treatment. It is better to prevent waste than to treat or to clean up waste after it formed. Then the next is design for separation. Separation and purification operations should be designed to minimize energy consumption and material use. Next is maximize efficiency. What it means, products and process and system should be designed to maximize mass, energy, space and time efficiency. The next is output pull versus input push. Product, process and system should be output pull rather than input push through the use of energy and materials. Next is conserve complexity. Embedded entropy and complexity must be viewed as an investment when making design choices on recycle, reuse or beneficial disposition. The next is durability rather than immortality. So the targeted durability, not immortality, should be a design goal. Next is minimize excess. Design for unnecessary capacity or capabilities such as one size fits all solution should be considered as a design flaw. Then next is minimize material diversity. Material diversity in multi-component products should be minimized to promote disassembly and value retention. Semua ni ada kaitan dengan subjek quality control kan. So the next is integrate material and energy flow. So design of product, process and system must include integration and interconnectivity with available energy and material flows. Next is design for commercial afterlife. Product, process and system should be designed for performance in commercial afterlife. So the next is renewable rather than depleting. Material and energy input should be renewable rather than depleting. Okay, this figure show about the hierarchical in the sustainability context. So the most general sustainability principles are narrowed down to specific material outcomes for the society. The principle of sustainability guide the sustainable design, the process of thinking. This stage determines how things are supposed to be made and how they will function over their whole cycle. Further down the funnel, the sustainable engineering stage deals with technical implementation of ideas. Sometimes it is not an easy process and some aspect of design may be changed or compromised. When eventually the design and engineering route practically converge, we may have a technology created. Technology provide process and product. Only then the benefit of new ideas and new engineering developments become available to society. Here we can identify the role of technology as some sort of portal through which the established principles of sustainable design and engineering which may affect people's lifestyle because of people's strong dependence on multiple technologies. Those become the factor that can facilitate change in society and can even become tools of manipulation and initiation of global trend. This way of thinking actually emphasize the importance of technologies in the whole hierarchies of causes and factors that regulate the sustainable development. The Sustainable Development Goal or Global Goal are a collection of 17 interlinked global goals designed to be blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. The SDGs, we call it SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, were set up in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly and are intended to be achieved by 2030. These SDGs provide worldwide guidance for addressing the global challenges facing the international community. It is about better protecting the natural foundation of life and our planet everywhere and for everyone, and preserving people opportunities to live in dignity and prosperity across generations. Okay guys, there are many benefits to sustainability, both short term and long term. We cannot maintain our Earth ecosystem or continue to function as we do if more sustainable choices are not made. If harmful processes are maintained with no changes, it is likely that we will run out of fossil fuel, huge number of animal species will become extinct, and the atmosphere will be irreparably damaged. Clean air and non-toxic atmosphere condition, growth of resources that can be relied upon, and the water quality and clean lines are all benefit of the sustainability. In simple terms, environmental sustainability is the practice of interacting with the planet responsibly. We do it to avoid depleting natural resources and compromising the future generation ability to meet their daily needs. Kita bukannya buat untuk kita saja, but for our future, anak cucu kita. So environmental sustainability is concerned with issues such as long-term health of ecosystem, which is protecting the long-term productivity and health of resources to meet future economic and social needs, such as protecting food supply, farmland and fishing stock. The next is intergenerational decision making. When making economic decision, we should focus on implication of future generation and not just the present moment. For example, burning coal give a short-term benefit of cheaper energy, but the extra pollution impose cost on future generation. The third one is renewable resources. Diversifying into energy sources that do not rely on renewable resources. For example, solar and wind power. The next is prevent the consequence of man-made global warming, which is policy. We have to do a policy to ensure that environment of the planet does not deteriorate to a point where future generation face water shortage, extreme weather events, excess temperature, all factors that could be make living in part of the world very difficult, if not possible. The last part is protection of species diversity and ecological structure. Sometimes medicine require element within specific plant species. If some species go extinct, it limit future technology innovation. Okay, last but not least, what is our choice? Which one you choose, economy or environment? So, the same question, the same survey was done in American. So, American people believe that environment and economy go hand in hand. But what happened when faced with a choice between these two goals, economy and environment? The result is the environment wins hands down. 6 out of the 10 Americans say that environmental protection is more important than economic development. So nanti you all boleh buat pilihan lah, either you all nak pilih yang mana for your future. But for me, protecting the environment is more important than the economic growth of developing country, because the economic growth of industrial nation has negatively impact the environment to the point where the quality of life have been declined globally, both ecologically and in terms of health. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you. If you have any question, you keep dulu. Lepas tu, nanti kita jumpa face to face dalam lecture hall. You all boleh tanya lah. You keep writing your question. Nanti kita bincang balik. Okay?